Am I the a-hole for paying for my kids' class trip when their stepsister and step-cousin can't go? My ex and I, both 30, broke up 8 years ago after our twins were born. We had only been dating for 14 months when she got pregnant, and we tried to stay together during the pregnancy to see if we could make it work for our kids. But then she met someone else, fell for him, and wanted to have a chance at love. The breakup was pretty smooth and amicable, and we co-parented well for the first couple of years. But then she met her husband, not the guy she fell for while we were together, and things changed. Her husband was a single dad raising his daughter, who was the same age as our kids, and she declared I would be responsible for including her like she was my child too, if I was buying gifts or doing anything fun with our kids. This led to a lot of problems, and now we basically parent separately instead of co-parenting. I was expected to babysit her stepdaughter and later on her nephew and her younger daughter whenever I planned fun activities for our kids. I was also supposed to spend equally on gifts for all the kids. My ex and I share 50-50 custody, and since we split the time evenly, no one pays child support. I'm really close to my kids, but I don't include the other children from their mom's house when they're with me, and I don't have much to do with the other kids. 3 years ago, her husband's nephew moved in with them, and a year later they had a daughter together. Now my kids have a stepsister, a step-cousin, and a half-sister at their mom's house, and my ex is possibly expecting another baby. This recent fight is partly about a school trip. The school my kids go to is small, so they're in the same class as their step-siblings. There's a class trip coming up in November to an interactive museum. It's an expensive trip for their age, but I can afford it, and my kids really want to go, so I paid for it. But my ex got angry because she and her husband can't afford to send a stepdaughter and a nephew on the trip. She told me I should either pay for all 4 kids to go or not send my kids at all. I refused. I told her I have the right to pay for my kids to go, and since the trip falls during my parenting time, I'm sending them. Her husband said I was sabotaging their family and being unfair to the other kids, who would have to watch their siblings go on a trip they couldn't join. He argued that I should care about all the kids. My ex backed him up and said that if the kids end up hating each other, it would be my fault. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. You have zero responsibility towards children so wholly unrelated to you, and frankly, if you start, there will be a never-ending series of demands. To be honest, if they can't afford to pay for the trips, why on earth are they potentially having another child? Where are the step and nephew's parents in all this? Where are all the bio grandparents? You do need to make sure that your children are not being penalized by the mother and stepfather whilst they are with them. I dread to think what will happen when you help your kids through college. Not the a-hole. Stepdaughter only has her dad, and now my ex. Her mom is not in her life. The nephew's parents lost custody and are unsafe. My ex and her parents don't talk anymore. I have no idea what her husband's parents are like and if they're involved. I imagine there will be some controversy because I have money for my kids that they can do whatever they like with. Want an apprenticeship and to have money to help get them started? Covered. College? A big helping hand. Lol. Trade? Covered in helping with other expenses during that time. Tell ex that if she doesn't stop with how you need to support her new family, you'll go for full custody and make their life easier. Not the a-hole. Your ex made her decisions about how she wanted to live her life after y'all broke up. But that's the point. You broke up. You aren't responsible for funding those decisions. It sounds like you are doing your best to respect her wishes in general when it comes to the whole dynamic. Her wishes sound kind of messed up if you ask me. But it's not your responsibility to fund the children other than yours. Instead of asking you, they should be looking at ways they can tighten their belts to fund the kids that they are responsible for. And be glad that you are 100% funding your kids for this, instead of expecting her to pay for one half theirs too. Suggestion for them. Not sure where they live, but one of them can take on Uber Eats on Friday and Saturday nights to fund a trip for the other 2 kids if they can't think of any way to make extra cash. Those are options where we live. I did it during COVID because I found myself unemployed in 2020. Then I got better employment after a couple of months. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my ex-wife after our son decided to live with me full-time? I recently got full custody of my son, and my ex-wife is furious about it. We divorced when he was 10, and originally we had a 50-50 custody arrangement. I've always tried to be fair, but over the past few years, my son has become more and more distant from his mom. One of the main reasons is that my ex has some pretty strict rules. I understand that she wants to raise him right, but grounding him for a month over one bad grade or taking away his phone for small things seemed a bit too harsh. On the other hand, I've always taken a different approach, focusing on talking things out and understanding his point of view, which he responds to better. About 6 months ago, my son asked me if he could live with me full-time. He said it felt like he couldn't breathe at his mom's house and dreaded the days he had to go back there. He also mentioned that he couldn't talk to her without getting yelled at. After discussing it with him and thinking about what would be best, I decided to support his decision. We went through the legal process and my ex fought hard against it. She accused me of trying to turn our son against her, but the court sided with us, and now he lives with me full-time. I still encourage him to visit his mom, but since the decision, he's only seen her a few times. Now, my ex is reaching out, asking for help because she says she's struggling emotionally and financially. She wants me to convince our son to spend more time with her, and has hinted that she needs money to cover expenses since she no longer gets child support. I feel bad for her, but I don't think it's my responsibility to step in. I'm already covering all the costs for our son, and I don't want to force him into a situation he doesn't want. I've suggested therapy for both of them, but she refused, saying this is all my fault and that I need to fix it. She's also been telling our friends and family that I'm being heartless by abandoning her in her time of need. Some of them are taking her side, saying I should do more to help her get back on her feet, especially financially, but I don't think that's my responsibility anymore. Not the a-hole, and anyone that says you should help financially, say that your money's going to your son, and thank them for volunteering to help her out since they want to get involved in a matter that has nothing to do with them. Not the a-hole, your money goes to your son. If they want to get involved, they can help her out themselves. She should be paying you child support, and tell her to downsize where she lives. She can get a smaller place, etc. She is not your responsibility. You don't owe her financial security. Not the a-hole. If she's struggling financially because of no longer receiving child support when she no longer has costs associated to the child, then she wasn't using it at all for the child, as it should have been in the first place. Or she's now paying for a place that has an extra room/space she can't afford. That could be true, but it's really not something OP is responsible for, not when she was the one alienated her child, driving him away to his father. Now, of course, it might become complex when other elements are involved, such as keeping a room for the child despite not having custody. But thing is, OP is already doing that on top of directly raising the child himself. That's carrying a lot of responsibilities as his. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to sign a family contract during my dad's wedding? My mom passed away 4 years ago, and now my dad is engaged to Anne. Their wedding is in 3 months, and Anne has 2 kids, a 12-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son. I'm 15. Both my dad and Anne see the wedding as a fresh start for all of us, especially since Anne's husband and her kids' dad also passed away. They think this is a great opportunity to start a new chapter together as a big happy family. They want all of us to not just accept the wedding, but also commit to being close, loving each other, and promising to always be there for one another as a family. Anne's son is excited about it, but her daughter is more hesitant. She feels torn because part of her wants a new dad and family, but another part feels guilty about it. She shared this in the family therapy sessions we've been having. As for me, I'm not thrilled. I'm okay with my dad getting married, but I don't feel the same way about everything else they want. I don't love Anne or her kids, and I don't want another mom figure to take over the role that my mom had. I also don't feel comfortable promising to be there for Anne and her kids forever, especially since I don't think I'll ever actually love them. To me, this whole thing isn't exciting. It's just sad. It feels like a reminder that my mom is gone and that I'll never have my family back. I see this as my dad making a new family, but it doesn't feel like my new family. I shared these feelings with a therapist who suggested that we discuss this separately from Anne's kids. During therapy, my dad and Anne brought up this contract idea. Basically, they wanted all of us to sign a commitment to being a family. The therapist didn't think it was a good idea, but my dad and Anne insisted. They asked if we'd be willing to sign it, and I was the only one who said no. Anne's kids looked sad when I refused, and Anne seemed shocked, like she didn't realize anyone would say no. My dad was clearly disappointed, but he didn't say anything at the time. The therapist tried to suggest that the three of us, my dad, Anne, and me, talk alone, but Anne still refused. Later, my dad asked why I couldn't just say yes for his sake, and why I was refusing to do something that would make everyone else happy. He said that someday, I'd be glad that I agree because we'd all be close, and a contract would be a nice memory. Am I the a-hole for refusing to sign a contract? Not the a-hole. My brother-in-law and his second wife tried to do this when they got married and blended their families 10 years ago. The kids wanted no part of it. They didn't like each other, but the parents went ahead with the marriage and the family contract and stuff. Things never improved, and now brother-in-law is getting a divorce for the second time. Sounds like a big fight waiting to happen when all the kids hate it and don't like each other. Absolutely. Just to add my 2 cents, your dad shouldn't be calling this contract a little thing. It's a big promise to feel and act in a way you can't right now, and may never be able to feel or act. It would be way worse for your step-siblings if you did sign and then couldn't follow through. They're putting way too much pressure on you too. Honestly, it's possible that what they want you to do could happen, theoretically, but the more they try to force it, the less likely it is to happen. Yep, and I'm sure my dad and Anne's feelings would be hurt too if I did sign it and couldn't do any of it. Even without Anne's kids, I could see it being a big deal to them. But add the kids, and I know it would be a huge deal, especially if the kids' feelings get hurt. Not they all. It's so sad that your dad and Anne are literally disregarding what both you and the therapist are trying to say to them. They cannot force you to have a relationship with Anne and her kids. If one grows organically, great, but forcing it will only build resentment and result in you pulling farther away. If this contract is really so minor, then why is your dad and Anne so pushy about it? Clearly it's not minor to them, nor should it be minor to you. Maybe tell your dad that if he'll agree to therapy alone with you, then you'll consider the contract so that there's a chance to talk more about this issue during therapy. They want it to happen so badly because they want us all to be on the same page about being a family. They see signing that as us being willing to make sure we become a nuclear family, and that we'll treat each other like we would a bio family. I don't know that my dad would agree to that. I think it'd make me say yes before even considering going against what Anne wanted everyone there and not leaving anyone out of therapy. Last story. Am I the a-hole for walking out of my own proposal because my boyfriend made my graduation all about him? A few days ago, something happened that I'm still trying to process. I'm 25 and just graduated from law school, which was a huge achievement for me. It took years of hard work, late nights, and a lot of stress to get through. So this was a big moment, not just for me, but also for my family and friends who supported me. We had planned a big celebration, and I was really looking forward to sharing the day with everyone who helped me along the way. My boyfriend, Tim, 28, knew how much this day meant to me. He's been with me through a lot of the tough times and has always been supportive. In the days leading up to the ceremony, he was acting a bit secretive, which I thought meant he was planning something sweet, like a dinner or a surprise to celebrate my graduation. I assumed it would be something thoughtful, but what actually happened was not what I expected. After the ceremony, we were at a reception with my family and friends, enjoying the moment. I was so proud of myself and grateful for everyone who was there. Then all of a sudden, Tim stood up, tapped his glass, and got everyone's attention. At first, I thought he was going to give a speech congratulating me on my achievement, but instead, he got down on one knee and started proposing. Don't get me wrong, I loved him and I do want to marry him. But in that moment, all I could think was, why now? His proposal didn't mention anything about my graduation, my hard work, or how proud he was of me. It was all about how we were meant to be together, how happy he was to lock me down, and how it was the perfect time for him to propose. It felt like he was making the day about him and our relationship, rather than celebrating the accomplishment I had worked so hard for. I was completely shocked and couldn't even focus on what he was saying because I felt like he had hijacked a day that was supposed to be about my success. Overwhelmed, I quietly left the room to process what had just happened. Tim found me later and he was furious. He said I embarrassed him in front of everyone and that I should have just said yes. I told him I was upset that he chose that moment to propose and felt like it turned my big day into something about him. He didn't seem to understand why I was hurt, and now we're barely speaking. Some of my friends think I overreacted and should have just been happy about the proposal, but I can't shake the feeling of being overshadowed. My family is divided. My mom understands why I'm upset, but my dad thinks I should have gone along with it and talked to Tim afterward. Now I'm left wondering if this was just bad timing or if it says something deeper about how Tim views our relationship. Am I the a-hole for walking out on a proposal because I felt like he made my graduation all about him? Proposals should never be public unless the person being proposed to has specifically said that they want friends/family/strangers involved. And that accept in public, recant in private thing is utter BS. He fully intended to make it impossible for her to say no. Quote from OP that her boyfriend told her, "You should have just said yes." He really was focused on himself, not really even them. Some of my friends think I overreacted and that I should have been happy about the proposal, but I just can't shake this feeling of being overshadowed. Some people are so desperate to live a fairy tale that they don't actually stop and think about how your boyfriend's timing turned a day that should have been 100% about your achievements into something as much about him. That's not okay. If they can't see that, it's on them, not you. As for your boyfriend, seems like he doesn't get it because he doesn't seem to understand that you're not just an extension of him and his life track. He's so focused on his own embarrassment, he can't even find space to consider your point of view. Not a great look for him, frankly, even if he is embarrassed or hurt. Not the a-hole. That is what I said, like I have no problem with marrying him, but choosing the day which I considered important to propose, and then making it all about him, was where I saw the red flag. I, 28 female, made a joke with my husband, 29 male, and it's costing me my marriage with a man I truly love. How do I fix it? I created this account a few minutes ago because I need advice. A joke I made is spiraling out of control, and I'm losing the man I truly love over it. My husband and I have been married for 4 years, and I love him with everything I have. I can't see a life without him. Some of my girlfriends convinced me to try a prank they've done on their husbands or boyfriends, telling them you want a breakup or a divorce. I thought it was cruel and never wanted to do it, especially to someone I love, but they kept pestering me because I was the only one out of the 5 of us who hadn't done it yet. They shared how their partners reacted afterward, and I stupidly gave in. So I did it last week, and my husband's reaction was nothing like I expected. I thought he would try to talk me out of it or suggest ways to make things work, like my friends' partners had done, but he didn't. We were having dinner and watching a movie when I told him, I'm not happy anymore, and I think we should get a divorce. He looked at me for a few seconds, and I swear, something broke in his eyes. He got up, went to our bedroom, and within 10 minutes, came out with a packed bag and walked out without saying a word. I tried to stop him, especially after seeing him with his bag packed. And I told him it was just a joke and that I didn't mean it. But he brushed me off and walked out. Since then, I've tried to reach him through messages, calls, emails, and video chats, but he isn't answering. I even talked to his friends, but none of them will tell me where he is. When they do respond, it's to say they don't want to get involved. I went to his workplace, but they refused to let me in. And his parents and siblings have refused to get involved too. His sister sent me one message. Joke or not, you really messed up. I've sent countless messages explaining that it was just a joke, even including screenshots of my conversations with my friends as proof. But he's ignored all of it. My friends haven't been any help. They just tell me to give him time and that he'll get over it. Yesterday, everything came crashing down when I was served with actual divorce papers. It felt like someone punched me in the face, and I was and still am in so much pain. I tried desperately to reach him, but all I got back was a message saying he has nothing to say and that I should speak to his lawyer. How can I get the man I love back? I don't want to lose him. I know I made a stupid mistake, and now it's tearing my world apart. Edit, I've already had questions in my DMs about this. To clarify, we didn't have any issues that I was aware of. We were laughing and having fun together all day. There was no recent fight or distance between us. Everything felt perfect. Now for the top advice. The joke is basically telling your partner you want to break up or that you want a divorce. What the actual That is not a joke. You did something spectacularly stupid and are facing the consequences for it. It honestly looks like your female friends know how ridiculously gullible you are and knew exactly how this would blow up in your face. They did it with their partners and nothing like this happened to any of them. According to them, it actually made their partners more attentive and affectionate towards them. So it wasn't a joke. It was a manipulation tool. I can see that. Be honest, this was never a joke. You just wanted to use those words to control him. No, I would never want to control him. I can see why you would think this way, but I was really just joking. Are you really 28? Because this is the stupidest, cruelest, most childish prank I've ever heard of. It seems extremely unlikely that you haven't been able to tell him you were joking. Regardless, that's all you can do. And if he still wants to divorce you because you thought hurting him would be fun, well, fool around and find out. I did tell him it was a joke. I even sent a screenshot of my chat with my friends as proof that it was a joke and not me backtracking now. But he isn't responding. Then he probably doesn't want to be married to someone who would hurt him on purpose just to have a laugh. Why didn't you follow him right after he left to the room to pack his things? I didn't know he was packing. I don't know what I thought, but it wasn't that he was packing his things. Next story. Thinking about not attending my brother's wedding because of his fiance's prank on my husband. I'm 25 female and my husband is 30 male. Recently, my brother 32 male and his fiancée 31 female came to visit us in our city. My partner and I are new homeowners, so this was their first time staying with us. For some context, my brother's fiancée is very into Halloween and considers herself a Disney adult. She has a childlike side and often gets absorbed in her interests. I mention this because I genuinely think what happened was her getting carried away, but she sees it as a personal attack. This disagreement led my husband to cut their visit short. In other words, they were asked to leave. Since meeting him, my brother's fiancée has repeatedly said that my husband has a dark vibe. She often compares him to characters in her books, saying it's a compliment, though I'm not so sure anymore. Her comments are based on his looks, his general vibe, and the fact that he has a hand tattoo. During this visit, she mentioned wanting to see someone like him get scared, as she couldn't picture him being startled or screaming. She set out to make scaring him her goal during her stay, but none of us, including my brother, knew about it. The incident that caused all the trouble happened when he tried to jump scare my husband in our dark garage. She hid in a full costume and mask, waiting to ambush him when he came home from a run. But instead of screaming, he instinctively pushed her away, not realizing who it was. She hit her head on the wall and was clearly shaken up. Thankfully, he realized right away from her reaction that it wasn't an intruder. He turned on the light, removed her mask, and helped her inside, apologizing, making her tea, and calling me. I was out with my brother. When we got home, I asked her if she was okay and said that the prank was a bad idea. It could have seriously hurt her. She responded by crying, saying my husband used excessive force and must have known it was her just playing a harmless prank. Then my husband calmly asked, "Are you saying I intentionally assaulted you?" She hesitated, but then said yes, to which he replied, "Get out of my house." I tried to smooth things over, but my husband was firm that if she truly believed he'd hurt her on purpose, she wasn't welcome to stay. She chose to stand by her accusation, so I sided with my husband. Now my brother is angry, saying I should have done more to calm things down and convinced my husband to apologize and placate his fiancée while she recovered from the situation. He thinks this would have all blown over if I had helped my husband back down. I find this unfair, especially since my brother didn't say anything to his fiancée or try to reason with her during the discussion. My husband remained calm throughout, but he clearly felt insulted by her remarks, which I think is valid. Why should I have sided with my brother's fiancée over my husband, especially when I feel she crossed a line and then accusing him of wanting to hurt her? My brother says I was short-sighted and should consider their upcoming wedding. But I think he should be the one urging his fiancée to apologize to my husband. If she hadn't hidden in the dark garage in the hooded costume, none of this would have happened. There's no way he would have known in the moment that it was her, and I believe anyone would have a similar reaction. Frankly, she's lucky she was not hurt more than she was. There is a direct cause effect here, yet she's not accepting responsibility. I think her behavior falls into the play stupid games category. Your husband doesn't have anything to apologize for, and it's offensive for them to try to obfuscate her responsibility. Not a-hole. Exactly this. It's one thing to come out of a closet into a well-lighted room, and completely another to jump someone in a dark garage. She's lucky he didn't break her nose or her jaw. I live in Oklahoma. She's lucky she didn't get shot. Texas here. Getting shot is a real possibility. That's beyond stupid on her part. I can guarantee you that I will not be attacked again. Not funny. She seems inappropriately fixated on OP's husband. Why was she even pranking him to begin with? Do they normally have a jokey banter? This is just so bizarre, and I don't understand her thought process. What exactly did she expect would happen? He would push her up against a wall, pull off her mask, and take her right there? This isn't a dark romance novel. Jesus, that's her brother-in-law. I don't understand either. My husband has no banter with her. They don't have much of a rapport. All her impressions about him are just superficial ones she's made. She doesn't even know him. But she's the type of person who believes she is really good at reading people and convinces herself she's figured them out and what kind of person they are. She has tried guessing things about him in the past, and she gets them wrong because she is basing him off her assumptions. I am sure she does this with other people she meets too. Next story. My 24 female boyfriend 24 male wants to move in together, but after we went on a trip I don't want to. How do I tell him? We've been together for a year, but we've only spent 1 or 2 continuous nights together due to our busy schedules. My boyfriend wants me to move in with him ASAP, and I initially told him I would consider it in a few months. However, we recently went on a trip and I saw a side of him that really turned me off. My boyfriend has a habit of making hurtful jokes, especially about appearances. I feel bad saying this, but he's in no position to make comments on anyone's appearance. He's pretty overweight, although I've never mentioned it because I don't care. While I was getting ready for dinner, he started joking about my arms, calling them massive and comparing me to Popeye. This hit a nerve, as I am fit and muscular, and I already worry about looking masculine. I started to cry because I felt so insecure. Instead of comforting me, he walked out of the hotel room, slammed the door, and said, "When you're ready, I'll be downstairs." Later we talked and he told me he was mad that I was upset, saying I can't take a joke, and that he's sick of having to watch everything he says around me. In the end, he promised not to make negative comments about my appearance anymore. But just 2 hours later, while looking at photos, he said, "Wow, your makeup was actually messed up today." His behavior on a flight home was also disturbing. During a 5-hour flight, he ordered tons of food, left a mess everywhere, and expected me to dig through the overhead bin for his AirPods. When I said I didn't feel like waking up the guy next to me just to look for them, he rolled his eyes and turned away from me. The final straw was his reaction to the flight attendant. She was giving clear instructions to buckle seat belts and turn phones to airplane mode, but he ignored her, busy uploading selfies on Instagram. When I asked him to follow her instructions, he flipped out, saying, "Why do you have to tick me off all the time? You're not my mother. I'll do whatever I please." Embarrassed, I snapped back, "Well, stop acting like a child then." He replied, "No, you are the child. You don't know anything." At that point, I just closed my eyes and tried to sleep, holding back tears. About 10 minutes later, he tried to hold my hand and told me, "You know I love you. I'll always love you. My heart belongs to you." Throughout the trip, everything seemed to be about what he wanted. One day, I suggested we do our own thing, and he agreed. We were apart for just 8 hours, but he called me several times, asking what I was doing. When we met up again, he told me he missed me and worried about me. For me, it was the complete opposite. Without him, I felt peace. Despite all of this, he's always kissing and cuddling me, telling me he loves me. When I got home after the trip, he said he was so sad to go home without me and wishes we lived together. However, his behavior on this trip has completely turned me off from the idea of moving in with him. How do I tell him I don't want to move in right now? I know this will hurt him, but after seeing this side of him, I'm not sure living together is the right choice. Now for the top comments. You should be breaking up with him, not worried about how to tell him you don't want to live with him. Good thing she doesn't live with him. It will make breaking up with him so much easier. That's why he wants her to move in. He can't even mask his BS long enough to get his hooks in. He is that bad. Without him, I felt peace. You know what to do. He's affectionate, so you'll feel confused and give him the benefit of the doubt. And then he can keep being dreadful. Yep, this was the line for me. OP, bite the bullet and dump him. Do not move in with him. He is disrespectful and abusive. He wants everything on his terms. You know the relationship is over when you're happier if the other person is gone. OP, your life could be blissful. P gave you the ick. Going on holidays with a partner can either make or break the relationship. I think it's broken yours. If you move in with this guy, that will be your life. Disrespect and belittling you. He has shown you who he is. You know what his reaction will be already. He will get angry, storm off, gaslight, and love bomb you to try and get you to change your mind. I don't think you'll be able to just tell him I don't want to move in without it ending the relationship. And to be honest, I don't see a future for you with this man-child. Thank you for your reply. Yes, that's how I would describe it. I got the ick majorly, haha. He has told me before, if we ever break up, I think I would get major depression and go back to his home country. Honestly, after these replies, I think I'll start planning my exit. Last story. Am I the a-hole for abandoning my husband after his surgery to go on vacation with my family? A month ago, my husband and I had a disagreement that's still causing a lot of issues with my family, so I'm hoping for some outside perspectives. I'm a 32-year-old woman, married to my husband, who is 34 for 5 years now. 3 years ago, I got pregnant with our first child, and we were both thrilled to become parents. The pregnancy, however, was really tough on me. I had extreme morning sickness and was constantly exhausted. Before my due date, I talked with my husband about wanting to stay at our home after giving birth. In my country, it's common for new mothers to go to their family's home for help with a baby, but I didn't want to. I have a complicated relationship with my father and wouldn't have felt comfortable around my brother in such a vulnerable state. While I love my family, it just didn't feel right. I felt it was my husband's responsibility as the baby's father to take care of both the baby and me, and he agreed. So, we prepared our house for the baby and set things up for guests. My mom agreed to come stay with us, and his mom also offered to help. But after I gave birth, my husband drove me to my family's house, saying he thought it would be better if I stayed near my mom and sister, as they could care for me better than he could. We stayed at my parents' house for a month, and during that time, he only visited us 3 times. I felt humiliated and ashamed. I had to deal with leaky breasts, stitches, and a crying baby while staying in my old bedroom, which I shared with my sister. My family tried to help, but being a private person, all I wanted was to go back to my home and have my husband by my side. I later found out he's gone on a trip with his friends to Dubai. Fast forward to a month ago, my husband fell ill for 2 days, and his pain worsened, so I drove him to the hospital. He needed an appendectomy and spent 2 days there. I stayed with him the whole time, but when he was discharged, I took him to his parents' house instead of ours, telling him his mother could care for him better than I could. Then, I took our child and went to join my family in another city, where they were spending the summer. When I told my family, they expressed disappointment, saying, "That's not how we raised you. You don't abandon your husband when he needs you most." My in-laws were furious, and my sister even suggested that I should have left the baby with him as well. After a week, I came back to our home and he returned 2 weeks after his surgery. Since then, he's been giving me the silent treatment and has been sleeping in the living room. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. What was he expecting? You gave him a taste of what he gave you, which was nothing. His behavior was worse because there were different plans. The opinions of other family members are irrelevant. Phew, that double standard is real. She matched energy. Was it petty? Yep. Did he deserve it? Yes. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for kicking out my pregnant ex? Me 29 male, ex 27 female, we have been together for over 6.5 years, and recently found out she's 6 months pregnant. Only thing is, she got pregnant when I was out of town for work. So the time she got pregnant, I was not in the same country, let alone city, and she has admitted to a one-night stand with some random person at a friend's house party. She does not know this person and wants me to stick with her and help her raise the child. It has said she would put me on a birth certificate. I flat out said that it's not going to happen, and if I would take her to court, I have screenshots of text her admitting it's not mine, and I would not be paying a penny for her or her child. I own my house and everything is in my name, and I used to pay for her expenses, phone and so on. All that has been cut off. She has a job, but it pays a fraction of what I get paid. I told her she has made her bed, and now she can sleep in it, and to essentially get the heck out of my house, and not bother me and go find this person she had a one-night stand with. So I kicked her out, and now her parents are calling me an a-hole for kicking a pregnant woman out, and they can't financially support her or the child if she tries to move back with them or the space for them. Am I the a-hole for kicking her out and potentially making her homeless? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole for breaking up with her after cheating. How long were you out of town though that you can 100% say the child isn't yours? I would wait until the child arrives, do a DNA test, then proceed accordingly. Almost a month. She has admitted it's not mine. This was done after ultrasound. Rough idea was when it was bang in the middle of the time I was not in the country. Not the a-hole. In addition to all the other advice you've been given, please see your doctor about STD tests. You have no idea how many times she may have cheated, and without using protection, she put you at risk also. I also vote for you to go see a lawyer in your area now, so you can be sure you are doing everything you should legally. Yes, this. Don't be stingy on lawyers at a time like this. I wish I can say that we live in just world, but we don't. So you're better off spending a bit on a lawyer now than get hooked for at least 18 years on a child that ain't yours. Not stay home. As a person who had 2 very high-risk pregnancies with tons of health issues, I'd like to say pregnant women are not these little snowflakes that melts immediately when they face a hardship. She cheated on you. You're not responsible for her or her kid if you don't want to, and she can deal with her poor choices. But you are not charity. If her parents are that concerned, they can take her in and look after her, and meanwhile ask her why she is a cheater. She has this backwards actually. If she needs money, she needs to track the actual father down via mutual acquaintances from said party and file for paternity. The courts will say it's his problem. If he can't afford to support a child as well as OP can, she should have thought of that before cheating mid-cycle without protection or plan B. Not stay home. OP shouldn't let her put him on anything official as the father either. I've read threads on here where that's like a lifetime commitment to support the kid, and legally hard to charge, if even possible. It is, and it's ridiculous. Thank God they're not married. In Michigan, she could name him on the birth certificate, and if she gets any state aid, the states will initiate a case against him as the presumed dad. Obviously, it's all state dependent, but he needs to be ready to contest this since in some states, if you don't do it by a certain date, you're stuck being dead until the kid is 18. Not stay home. Why should any of this be on you? Move on and find someone else trustworthy. Her parents obviously care about her and are defending her, so she has someone to turn to. She shouldn't be homeless or friendless while they are on her side. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to sell my horse? Me 24 female and my boyfriend 26 have been dating for around 9 months. I've been riding horses since around 4 years old when I started taking lessons. When I was then, I started helping out this girl at the stable with her horse lady. At 12, she told me she had to sell her due to time/interest. It asked if me and my parents wanted to buy Lady. Luckily for me, my parents were able to buy her, and she's been mine ever since. She's my bestest friend and I love her a lot. When I started to date my boyfriend, I was very honest with the fact that my horse takes a lot of time, and he was fine with us. When single, I could spend like 3 to 4 hours a day in the stable. But as we started dating, I cut this down to about 3 hours every other day, as this is roughly how long it takes for me to do all the cleaning, / preparing food / writing. Also, most of my friends are at the stable, which obviously means this is also social for me. The other days, I would not ride and try to spend less time talking, which would make it about an hour. After about 6 months, he told me I spent too much time at the stable and I should prioritize my relationship more. And somehow his family got involved, and saying it was strange to prioritize the way I did. I wasn't comfortable with this, but I am a bit of a pushover, so I agreed. At first, this meant cutting down the time at the stable, but it has evolved into cutting down riding days. Now I ride about 2 days a week and the rest I'm simply there to do the basics. All of this as quickly as I can, because otherwise, I know he'll be annoyed and pissed off for days and give me the silent treatment. I know my horse isn't really suffering from not being ridden as often as before, but I still feel very guilty that I'm always rushing around her. Then last night, he told me it was time to sell Lady. I laughed at him and asked if he was serious. He was. I told him no, and he said I needed to start prioritizing this relationship more. And I said I've done nothing but prioritize this relationship. We argued about it, and he apparently thinks I can just put her down as she's old anyways. I was furious at this. I told him that was absolutely not happening, and I would never sell her. He said that any reasonable person would sell or put down their horse in favor of their boyfriend. And the only reason I wouldn't is because I only hang out with other insane horse people. So I come to you, reasonable people of Reddit. Am I the a-hole? Totally not the a-hole. Your boyfriend sounds controlling AF. You worked hard to compromise with him, but he keeps moving the line until he eventually gets everything he wants, and you have sacrificed everything important to you. A lot of abusive partners start the cycle by trying to isolate their partner. You have a whole support network at the barn, and he wants you to give all that up in addition to your horse who is like a member of your family to you. This is super messed up, and a huge red flag. I know it really hurts, but be grateful he's shown you who he really is, and how he doesn't prioritize or frankly care about your feelings and well-being. I'd run, not walk away from this guy. He sees something you love and wants to take it away from you. That should be enough right there to warrant a red flag, but I really love this comment about the support system. Keep them around you and leave him. So many red flags. Not stay home. Slowly escalating demands that you give up your hobbies and things you care about is a classic abuse tactic. Making you feel guilty about the way you spend your time, especially when you've always spent your time that way, is a classic abuse tactic. Trying to force you to get rid of people or animals you care about is a classic abuse tactic. I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, but best to get out while that's the only thing broken. These tactics are meant to break your spirit, your will, your confidence, and your self-worth. Those are all far too valuable to allow him to break them. Plus, most of her friends are at the stable. She's already cut down her socialization time with her other friends in order to spend more time with him. And now he wants to get rid of any reason for her to go to the stable at all. That's classic isolation. Not stay whole, keep your horse. Your friends probably miss riding with you. Time for your boyfriend to compromise or get out. What the ever-loving heck is this? He wants to kill your horse. Fire the man into the goddamn sun. And wonder how he managed to date IRL Gaston. Not stay home. Edit. So I never expected this to get as much attention as it did. I'm very overwhelmed and thankful for all your kind comments and messages. I'm currently sitting with Lady in her stable, crying my eyes out because this has been such a wake-up call for me. My boyfriend left to visit his family and friends at his old town earlier today before I posted. So for everyone worried, all is well for now and I will handle this ASAP. First, I need to go home and sleep. Thank you all for being wonderful. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for demanding my boyfriend to pay me for a replacement phone after he threw out my old one? Hello, I, female 32, met my boyfriend, male 37, about 9 months ago. He has 2 kids, 4 and 6 both boys, from his previous relationship. His kids are adorable, and I love spending time with them. However, we do not live together yet. So last week, he had a work trip and asked if he could bring the kids to stay with me, and I approved with zero hesitation.
The boys came over and we took the entire day doing fun outdoor activities. We got home in the evening and I decided to post one video I took of the kids playing with the snow. I posted it and got a number of likes. I tagged my boyfriend as a surprise to let him know how much fun the kids had. But when he got back, he was furious with me for posting a video of the kids without permission. He pitched a fit and went on about how I overstepped, invaded his and the kids' privacy, and betrayed a sense of security thought I had for the kids. I was flabbergasted by his reaction. I said, "What's the big deal?" And he literally started shouting at me and berating me, insinuating I should never have done that. He demanded I delete the video, wipe it along with any other videos and pictures I took of his kids off my phone completely. I was going to do what he asked, but I found that he took my phone and threw it away. He only gave my SIM card. I lost it, asking why he did it, and he said that I created this situation and made him do this. I called him unbelievable and demanded to pay me for a replacement phone as soon as possible, but he said he wasn't responsible for my mistakes. I argued that he massively overreacted, and he should have let me know he didn't want the kids to be on cam, and he just kept going on about how I violated his and his kids' trust and privacy, and how it's never an overreaction when he's trying to keep their privacy intact. I kept demanding for a new phone, and he's refusing. So, am I the a-hole? I do feel like I should have spoken to him, but I think I have the right to not want my phone thrown out over a small mistake. Now for the comments. And so begins the free childcare. Not the a-hole. Okay, sure. If he doesn't want his kids' images on social media, he could have told you. But throwing away someone else's property is theft. This is a big red flag for how he will react in most situations he doesn't like. Yes, he should replace your phone, but I very much doubt he will. I'd also cut ties with him because you don't need to be treated like that. And did his ex even know you had kids alone with you? Can we talk about the huge blazing red flag of "you made me do this to you"? Because damn, that's an awful big red flag. Anybody who says you made them throw out your stuff or hit you or belittle you or whatever horrible behavior they're showing, that's not a person to keep in your life. That's a person who can't take responsibility and will blame you for what they do to you. Hope he's not the a-hole and should run from this man. Whoa, throw that whole man away. While he had a right to ask you to take down videos of his kids from social media, he had zero right to throw away your personal property. Not stay home. OP, his reaction is just plain scary to me. I totally understand getting upset about his kids being on social media. You never post kids' pictures without parents' permission. The way he overreacted to it throws up red flags and question marks. The simple adult answer is to just delete the pictures. He went to the controlling extreme of becoming unhinged with your phone. Either he is a serious control freak, there is something about this relationship with the kids you don't know, or something way more going on than obvious in this post. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for continuing to accept extra help from my ex and his family, even though his fiancé doesn't like it? I have a 4-year-old daughter with my ex. I would say we have a pretty great co-parenting relationship, and he and his family have helped me more than I would have expected them to. He is engaged now, and his fiancée, Laura, is the biggest fan of mine. I know she's told him she doesn't like how much she helps me, and she expects him to stop after they get married. I assume he refused, because she decided to come speak to me woman to woman. The main things she wants me to stop are 1. Stop accepting so much money from him even if he insists. 2. Move out from the apartment my daughter and I live in for free and find my own place. 3. Stop going on family vacations with him. 4. Stop having family dinners with him. 5. Stop attending events his family hosts. I told her no. She got upset and told me I should understand her perspective and why this wasn't fair for her. That I didn't need half of the things I accepted from him, and I was just milking him like a cash cow because I had his daughter. She said that since they were a family now, I should realize the dynamic between us has to change, and no partner would be okay with how things are now. I told her no again and asked her to leave. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She's being incredibly insecure and petty. He's taking care of his child. You will both always be there, so she needs to get over it. Move out of your apartment? No. I hope she treats your daughter right when you're not around. The only part I could agree with cutting out would be you going on family vacations with him. Unless it's some big sort of family thing, in which case still, who cares? She's threatened by you. I even think the family vacations are nice if they are for their daughter. I think it is really healthy to show their kid that family doesn't just mean being married, that her parents can recognize that the three of them are still a family even if mom and dad are no longer romantically involved. If his fiancé has issues with her and her daughter's existence, then she should not be marrying a divorcee with a kid. I hope he should stand her ground and do what is best for her daughter. I agree with the knowledge still being a family even though there is no romance anymore. But I feel like now that dad is engaged, the fiancé should also join these family holidays, because she is about to be a stepmom and part of the family too. Not stay home. Unfortunately for Laura, his child and you come with him. I don't think you need to stop having a positive co-parenting relationship because she feels threatened. You'll always be in her life if she decides to go through with a marriage. I would actually have a talk with your ex and let him know what she said. There needs to be boundaries in place with her as she's overstepping, and you should make it clear that she's starting things and you don't appreciate it. If she has a problem, she can speak to her fiancé. I feel like she has already addressed it with him and he's not changing how you guys function, so she thought she could come to you to get you to back off. It's interesting that she made this approach by herself. I wonder what, if anything, fiancé has said to the father about this. I'm betting she didn't tell him she would be approaching the ex. I'm going to go against the grain here. You're the a-hole. I think it's fully reasonable that she's uncomfortable with us. It sounds like he's completely supporting you financially, paying for all your living expenses and then some. He should be paying child support, but you should otherwise support yourself as an adult. Family vacations and events are a little weird. You're acting like you're still a couple. Of course his fiancé is uncomfortable with that. This is how I felt. I'd ask Opie if he's completely supporting her. Because there's a huge difference when someone is supporting their child and when someone is supporting the child and the mother.
Update after 6 months. My girlfriend cheated on me, told my best friend, and he did nothing. Original post. So the situation in 2019 was like this. My 23 male, girlfriend 23 female, moved into a new place and very soon opened up to me that she was attracted to her roommate and that the attraction was mutual. That roommate was in an open relationship with another girl at that time, and she told me with the hope that I would be accepting of an open relationship. This caused a lot of trouble in our relationship, and I made it clear from the beginning that I do not accept if they kiss, hook up, or anything. It was a very troublesome time and we almost broke up, but in the end, I talked to both her and her roommate, and they both promised to me that they would not be intimate. I also told both of them that I expect them to be honest, because I know it would cause me psychological harm to be lied to, and that I'd be fine with breaking up with her right now if it's necessary. Our relationship was very rocky at that time, but it got better as it became clear that there was no more attraction between the two of them. She also wanted to move out soon afterwards. In hindsight, I think she lost attraction as she realized that he was sleeping with other girls too, and she felt treated like an object by him probably. At that time, I talked a lot to my best friend about my distrust and my fear of her cheating on me, and he was one of the few people that I could rely on at that time. In the time frame 2020 to 2021, the time after she moved out from that roommate, that best friend became more friendly with my girlfriend, which I was happy about because it is great if your friends and girlfriend get along well. After some time, she apparently came out to him about the fact that she had slept with her roommate during that time and never talked to me about it. And even though my friend knew my opinion on this, that is that I was afraid of being psychologically harmed by being lied to and not afraid of breaking up with a cheater, did nothing. He did not tell her it was wrong. He did not tell her that she should tell me about it. And he did not tell me about it and chose to remain silent. Even worse, 2 weeks before I broke up with her, she accidentally in a conversation admitted to having kissed her roommate. I was shocked by this because it was completely out of the question for me that they would do that. I immediately lost my trust and respect towards her, but she still swore that she did not sleep with him and claimed she had just forgotten to tell me about it. The first thing I did upon hearing this was contacting my best friend and meeting him to tell him about this. He reacted in a very strange way. He was very shocked to hear this, but very slow to respond. I could not put my finger on what it was at that time. He was empathetic, but he told me that I should try to trust her. I also had the idea of contacting the roommate and demand from him that he tell me the entire truth of what happened, but he advised me against that, because in his opinion, I cannot build a relationship upon distrust. All whilst knowing the truth that she cheated on me. All this only came out because that very friend talked to one mutual friend of all three of us. Luckily, she was the only person in that situation that seemed to have any kind of moral grounding, and she pressured my girlfriend to tell me the truth, which she finally did. I gave my girlfriend the opportunity to explain herself, she did, and then I broke up with her. I am still shaken to the core by all this. It's been 8 months, and it still hurts like it did at the first day. I feel like I've been betrayed by the two people I trusted most, and I don't know how to deal with it. I have always been an introverted person. It is hard for me to open up to others, and now I don't even know how I can ever be able to trust someone again. I have no one to talk to about this because I broke contact with most of my other friends as well because they still associate with my girlfriend and I really don't want her in my life. I am also shocked by the lack of moral convictions that my friends seem to have. They all continue to hang out with her even though they know what she's done and what it has done to me. I have some remaining friends, but these friendships are either superficial or they live in another city. I have a supportive family, but I cannot really talk to them about things like this in the way that I need to. I am looking for a psychotherapist now and hope it will help me to get out of this. I never meet friends at the moment, but otherwise, I try to take good care of myself as best as I can. I eat healthy, work out, sleep well, never consume alcohol or any substances, and I spend most of my time at work or learning programming or other skills to keep my mind preoccupied. I don't engage in self-harm and never would. Thanks to anyone who read through the entire text. I don't even have any questions. I just needed to get this out of my system, but I would appreciate to hear thoughts. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Oh, that's horrible. Are you sure your ex and BFF didn't have a thing going? I have lost many friends over years, some were childhood, but as I grew, I made new friends. The thing is, I learned to enjoy my own company and made friends easily too. This implied I can choose the kind of people I want around. Have a great goal and focus your rage towards it. Thanks for your reply. To be honest, I think she might have been interested in him and that's why she told him. But I don't believe that he was attracted to her. They did not meet regularly, and if they met, it was always initiated by my ex. I think the reason he didn't tell me was that he is a weak person and that he wanted to avoid conflicts. I think he hoped it would just never come out. Edit. One thing that speaks in his favor is that they never met again in private after the day that she told him. But the problem with this entire situation is that I still don't know the entire truth and probably never will know because I don't know whose words to trust anymore. Oh damn. If that is the kind of person your ex is, you should feel lucky you got rid of her. No decent and self-respecting person can handle that. As for your friend, based on the details you mentioned, yes, I have met those meek guys. They are absolutely avoidant and it's annoying. They never have your back, just agrees without opinion, and make their stupid judgment calls. Not entirely their fault, but I cannot be friends or partner with anyone who cannot speak up. You attract what you are and sometimes the opposite. Learn to distinguish those opposite ones. Yeah, I think I attract harmony-oriented and avoidant people. My ex was also in that group, because I am like that myself. I am working on that though and try to be more confrontational in the future. But in contrast to them, I have always been consistent with my moral values, and even call my friends out when I see they are doing something wrong. I also used to think that soft, sensitive people are more trustworthy. But I now see that this was a bad way to filter people, because they are also very often weak people. They are very likable, but they often have little moral grounding, because they will always adapt the position of the person they are talking to. And now for the update. It's been 6 months since I posted that, and my situation only got worse even though I am doing therapy now. I am still completely socially isolated because my entire friend circle wants to remain friends with my ex, who cheated on me and lied for 2 years about it, and also told it to my former best friend who was complicit in the lie. I have broken off contact with most of my friends, but I think I will actually have to cut ties to every single one of them because they all are still in contact with her. Am I demanding too much from them if I want them to exclude her? She has plenty friends of her own, while I do not have a single remaining friend that is not in contact with her. She even ex-ted one of my friends. My entire life collapsed 13 months ago and nobody seems to care. And all of this because I trusted her and let her into my life. I didn't do anything wrong, yet now I am the person that isolates himself, not her. And I don't even want revenge, I only want to go separate ways but without losing all of my friends, but I think it's too late for that now. I am still completely torn from what has happened. What kind of messed up world are we living in, where cheating is socially accepted like this? How will I ever be able to trust anyone ever again? I hate the fact that I have to start from zero again now socially, but also with the additional impediment of massive trust issues because of what she has done to me. I hope I will have better news in a future update. You may have to ask yourself if these were ever real friends to begin with. I think that most of them are staying in contact because they might get the chance to sleep with her. They know she is the type to sleep with more than one person and will probably make moves on her at some point. These are toxic people, and it's better they are out of your life anyway. You will find new friends and move on from this eventually. Unfortunately, it takes time for this to happen. These people aren't your friends. They use you for something, but it doesn't seem like that's the case anymore after she left. Ditch them and make a new life you'll actually like. Join a gym, go to church, find some stuff to do local, concerts, runs, cooking classes, wine tastings, hobby events, etc., even if it's an hour or two away. Get a new job, travel, go back to school. Expose yourself every opportunity you get. I mean, we've been rejected in the worst way possible by the person closest to us. Why should we care if a stranger thinks it's weird to make small talk at a grocery store? Thanks for your comment. I am with you. I need to get out more. I know that rationally, but emotionally I feel really hopeless after all that has happened. I have started doing workouts at home in the last year and will probably go to gym soon. I thought about going to church. I am not really religious, even though I was raised Christian. I think that one of the good reasons for the existence of religion is that most people are too stupid to see that there is a rational reason for acting in moral ways, but the thought that God might not like them for it gives them a very simple, understandable reason. I truly think one of the reasons my ex got accepted like this is because my friends are all atheists. You wouldn't be accepted like this in any religious community. Not like I wished for her to be punished in any way either. I would just like to see her face or some kind of negative social feedback for what she has done to me. Funny enough, my cheating wife was both encouraged, enabled, and endorsed by a group of churchgoers. They absolutely love her. I do my best to give up finding closure with any of these people. They are broken as hell to think this behavior is normal or ever excusable. Even if you don't want the relationship with God now or ever, it's a good excuse to roll out of bed, and the groups or socials churches tend to have will open the door to a new crowd of people. I'm doing this and trying to visit whatever places online are highly recommended or reviewed on Google. Any exposure is good in my mind. Gotta keep the social muscles strong. Damn, that makes me lose hope in the church. How can you call yourself a Christian and support infidelity? In situations like this, we learn who truly is or was a friend and who isn't. It might take time, I know there has been time, but more time before perhaps a few of those friends disassociate with your ex, a few might. Then you will know. If not, focus on new friends but in a casual way at first. As for your trust issues, work on that in therapy. First, focus on trusting yourself, your gut. The hardest thing after infidelity is we were gaslit and lied to so much and believed some of those lies. We dismissed ourselves and trust in ourselves. You have to get that back before trust issues are resolved. And as others have stated, perhaps these friends were truly not. Could you get a dog or puppy? I ask because that could fill your time, but also you could meet others who could be friends in the future. Also, feel free to casually date, not with any expectations, just to go to dinner, see a movie, etc. Do you have a coworker you find interesting? Perhaps they could be a friend. You are also doing so much better than when you were with her, right? So it's progress. Be kind to yourself. In 5 years, you will look back on this time as a period of rebuilding that will lead to your best life. Thanks for your comment. I really hope therapy will help. So far it doesn't, unfortunately. And I agree that it should be my focus to find new friends. But it's hard for me. I agree that these friends were truly not. I have to say, I am currently not doing better than when I was with her. I was always a very happy person and very content with what I had before the lie came out. And I just miss spending time with other people. Last story. My 27 male, girlfriend 28 female, cheated and then hid it from me because her therapist told her. I am still reeling from the disclosure, so please bear with me if the post seems to be all over the place. This just happened yesterday. I have been in what I thought was a happy relationship with my girlfriend for 2 years now, and it all came crashing down yesterday when I got a message yesterday from a woman who claimed my girlfriend had cheated while she was on a vacation with her friends. I thought it's some kind of prank and told her so, but then she told me exactly when it happened and at what hotel my girlfriend and her friends were staying. She even knew the room number. Apparently, her boyfriend was also staying in the same hotel, and that's when the cheating happened. I decided to ask my girlfriend, and to my surprise she didn't deny it, but she insisted it was the only time she has ever cheated on me in our entire relationship. But it gets even worse because she was thinking about telling me. That's what she tells me, but her therapist advised her against it. The therapist told her that as long as she wasn't going to do it again, it didn't make any sense to confess it to me and put our relationship in danger. I was speechless. I guess there are therapists out there encouraging their clients to lie and hide things from their partners. I am at a friend's place right now as I don't know what to do. I don't trust anything which comes out of her mouth now. It could be the only time she cheated, but it could also be the only time someone reached out to me about her cheating. She seems very remorseful and her tears seem genuine, but I don't know what to trust now. Till yesterday, I was sure she would never cheat. But today all that is lie. Would really love some advice. Now for the advice. Forget the therapist and what they said. Your girlfriend cheated, then kept it from you, then deflected blame. Are you okay with this? Are you okay with future trips she takes with the same group? He will never be able anymore to sit still in peace at home or do work while she is on vacation. His mind will race and ask himself questions like, where is she now? It's 30 minutes since her last message. That's enough time to cheat on me. Is she doing it right now? And so on. For your own mental health, cut her loose. You can't come back from that. Not just cut her loose, I'm wondering if the friends she was with knew and didn't say anything to him. If it turns out they did and they have boyfriends, I would maybe give those guys a heads up that their girlfriends helped hide a cheater. Also, if it was a girls' trip and OP's girlfriend was cheating in the same room all the girls were sharing, I'm wondering if more than just OP's girlfriend cheated during the trip. If OP's girlfriend and the girls have gone on or go on regular girls' nights out or vacations, then OP absolutely cannot continue the relationship. Because barring her from going, especially if it's not public she cheated, will make him look like a controlling partner who is separating her from her friends. But OP also can't tag along to monitor her because they are girl nights out, and if she does go, he won't be able to trust her whether or not she said that she cheated while out. If those girls are mutual friends, I would cut them off, and also not be afraid to show the proof of the cheating, the text messages, maybe even ask the sender if you could post them with their name blocked out. I would totally post proof if she starts weaving a lie or crap talking him online, and I would say she is salty she got caught. Also OP, I go to therapy myself. I've never cheated, but if she had an issue that was the reason for her cheating, then my therapist would probably suggest that I am not ready for a relationship and break things off for both our mental health, as the cheating could very well make her remorseful after and anxious about if it's find out while finding out. Especially later on if things like kids, house, marriage or things that make it not easy to separate yourselves from the cheater would be extremely stressful and upsetting. I would own up to what I did, say I need to or will work on myself and apologize. It probably still wouldn't be a nice breakup and I could get dragged through social media. But that's consequences and they can motivate us to change. I don't know what therapist suggested hiding it without considering the consequences of it being found out later. I think she could be lying about the therapist, to be honest.